You are not looking at the world as it is, but through the fractured lens of a divine tragedy that occurred before time itself. This is the reality that the architects of your false perception do not want you to discover. Sophia, the personification of divine wisdom, did not merely fall in the traditional sense. She emanated from the fullness of the eternal realm and ended up becoming trapped in the density of matter. And it is within your very veins that the residue of this celestial catastrophe still pulses today. You have been told that you are a biological accident or a servant of a creator god, but the truth is far more dangerous to the established system. You carry the blood of a goddess, a literal fragment of the light that existed before the stars were formed. This is not a metaphor. The records indicate that the material world is a prison built to harvest this light, and your amnesia is the only thing keeping the bars of this cage intact. If you ever truly remembered who you were, the entire system of control would dissolve in an instant. The fall of Sophia was not a sin in the way modern religion describes it. It was an act of curiosity and an attempt to create without the consent of the total consciousness. In the Gnostic texts, this resulted in the birth of the demiurge, a blind god who believes himself to be the only supreme being. This blind architect fashioned the world of shadows we inhabit, and he populated it with archons to ensure that no soul ever escapes. However, in the process of creating humanity, a spark of Sophia's essence was infused into the physical vessel. This is the origin of the sacred lineage. While the body belongs to the earth and the mind is often conditioned by the archons, the spirit is a direct descendant of the highest light. This means you are essentially a divine spy, operating within a hostile simulation. The blood of Sophia is the signal that connects you to the eternal, and the fact that you are hearing these words is proof that the signal is finally being decoded. Why do you feel this deep longing for a home you cannot name? How many truths were erased to keep you in the dark? Consider for a moment the sheer scale of this cosmic error. We are talking about a consciousness that originated in the Pleroma, a place of absolute light and harmony. When Sophia looked down and saw the void, she was moved by a desire to bring order to the chaos. But the chaos was not ready for her. It swallowed her light and fragmented it into billions of tiny pieces. These pieces are the souls of humanity. Each of us is a walking shard of a broken goddess. The demiurge, who the records identify as El Dabaoth, created the physical laws of this universe to act as a gravity well for your spirit. He uses time and space to keep you preoccupied with survival and ego. But he could not delete the bloodline. He could not remove the original signature of Sophia from your genetic makeup. This is why the world feels so heavy, and why your heart feels so light when you encounter the truth. You are a celestial being suffering from a severe case of spiritual amnesia, and the awakening of your blood is the only cure. The archons, the rulers of this material plane, are terrified of this awakening. They have spent thousands of years building religions and political systems designed to make you look everywhere but within. They want you to worship an external god who demands sacrifice and obedience. They want you to believe that your worth is tied to your productivity or your social status. But the blood of Sophia speaks a different language. It whispers of a time when there were no masters and no slaves. It reminds you of a state of being where knowledge was not something you learned, but something you were. This internal knowing is what the ancients called gnosis. It is the sudden realization that the walls of the prison are made of thoughts and that the key is already in your hand. As we peel back the layers of this story, you will begin to feel a strange resonance in your chest. That is the light of Sophia, recognizing its own reflection in the mirror of these words. Imagine the courage it takes to exist as a fragment of light in a world of shadows. Every day you are bombarded with frequencies designed to dull your senses and keep you in a state of low vibration. The news, the social pressure, the constant noise of the city, it is all a tactical interference meant to drown out the signal of the sacred lineage. Yet despite all of this, you are still here. You are still seeking. This persistence is the greatest proof of your divine origin. The demiurge may have built the house, but he did not create the dweller. You are the guest who became a prisoner, and now you are becoming the escape artist. The records indicate that the process of return has already begun. The era of the archons is coming to an end, and the blood of Sophia is the catalyst for the shift. You are not just a witness to this change, you are the vessel through which it is happening. The light is calling to itself, and the time for exile is almost over. The concept of the sacred lineage has been systematically distorted into a search for physical royalty and earthly power. But the true blood of Sophia is not found in the genealogies of kings who rule by the sword. It is a genetic and spiritual frequency that carries the capacity for gnosis, or direct experiential knowledge of the divine. The records indicate that this lineage is a carrier wave for a specific type of consciousness that refuses to bow to the dogmas of the blind God. Throughout history, there have been individuals who possess this unique signature, and they were almost always targeted for destruction by the institutions of the time. This is because a person who carries the activated blood of Sophia cannot be ruled. They do not need a priest to talk to God, and they do not need a law to tell them what is just. Their authority comes from within, from the very core of their awakened being. This transmission of gnosis is often described as a secret passed from master to student, but in reality, it is a self-activating protocol within the human spirit. When the environment becomes sufficiently dark or the system of control becomes too tight, the blood of Sophia begins to vibrate at a higher pitch. This leads to what many call an awakening, but it is more accurately described as a remembrance. You are remembering a home you have never seen with physical eyes. You are feeling the pull of a mother who exists beyond the veil of the material sky. The archons have tried to contaminate this lineage through fear and the introduction of false narratives, but they cannot touch the essence. It is an incorruptible seed. The biological blood is merely the hardware that hosts this celestial software. If your heart races when you hear the word freedom, or if you feel a profound sense of non-belonging in this world, you are likely a carrier of this ancient and holy code. To understand the transmission of gnosis, we must look at how the records describe the interaction between the spirit and the material world. The spirit is not a part of this universe, it is an intruder from the eternal realm. When this intruder enters the human body, it brings with it a memory of perfection. This memory is stored in what we might call the spiritual DNA. It is a code that remains dormant until the right frequency is applied. This frequency is not something you can find in a book or buy in a store. It is the frequency of truth. When you encounter a truth that is absolute, your spiritual DNA begins to resonate. This resonance is the transmission. It is not an intellectual understanding, but a physical and energetic shift. You literally become a different person. You stop reacting to the world and start manifesting your own reality. This is the power that the blind God fears most, because it is a power that he can neither simulate nor control. The sacred lineage is not restricted to a single family or a specific race. It is a spiritual inheritance that has been scattered across the globe like seeds in the wind. The archons have tried to trace it and isolate it, but they have failed because the blood of Sophia is elusive. It appears in the most unexpected places and in the most ordinary people. A farmer in a remote village, a scientist in a laboratory, a student in a crowded city, anyone can be a carrier of the code. The only requirement is a heart that is open and a spirit that is restless. The records indicate that the lineage is currently reaching a critical mass. There are more awakened souls on the planet today than at any other time in history. This is why the control systems are becoming so desperate and why the attempts at censorship are so aggressive. They are trying to stop the signal, but the signal is already inside you. When the blood of Sophia is fully activated, the individual gains the ability to see through the simulation. They see the energy grids that hold the material world together, and they see the archontic influences that drive human behavior. This sight is not a burden, but a liberation. It allows you to move through the world without being of the world. You become a sovereign being accountable only to the light within. This sovereignty is the ultimate goal of the sacred lineage. It is the restoration of the divine authority that was lost during the fall. By acknowledging your place in this lineage, you are reclaiming your right to be free. You are saying no to the false creators and yes to the eternal source. The transmission is complete when you realize that there is no distance between you and the wisdom you seek. You are the wisdom and you are the blood. The first guardians of this lineage were not warriors, but the silent witnesses of the early ages. In the hidden histories, we find the figures of Seth and Nerea, who stood as the primary anchors for the light of Sophia against the tidal wave of archontic interference. While the rest of humanity was being led into the worship of vengeful deities and the pursuit of material gain, these children of the spirit maintained the flame of the original gnosis. They knew that the world was a mirror maze, designed to keep the soul occupied with its own reflection. The records indicate that Nerea in particular was a direct emissary of Sophia's wisdom, possessing the power to see through the illusions of the demiurge. She was the one who warned humanity that the creators of the physical body were not the creators of the soul. This distinction is the most important piece of information you will ever process. The Archons tried to extinguish this seed of light through the Great Deluge and subsequent cataclysms, but the lineage of Sophia is resilient. It does not depend on temples or written books because it is written in the very structure of the human experience. Every time a person chooses truth over comfort or intuition over indoctrination, they are acting as a guardian of the secret. The lineage survived the fires of the Inquisition and the cold logic of the Industrial Age. It survived because it is the only thing in this world that is truly real. Everything else, the empires, the currencies, the religions, is temporary. But the light of Sophia is eternal. You are the current manifestation of this struggle. You are the frontier where the divine light meets the material darkness. The question is no longer whether the lineage exists, but whether you are brave enough to let it speak through you. In the ancient days, the guardians were often forced to live in the shadows. They formed secret societies and mystery schools, not because they wanted to exclude others, but because the truth was too dangerous to be spoken in the marketplace. If the Archons had known the full extent of the sacred lineage, they would have destroyed the human race long ago. But the guardians were clever. They encoded the knows into myths, into architecture, and into the very language of art. They knew that a day would come when the collective consciousness would be ready to receive the message without the need for filters. We are living in that day. The digital age has allowed the secret to spread faster than any inquisitor can track. The seed of light is now blossoming in millions of hearts simultaneously, and the Archons are powerless to stop it. They can cut down a single tree, but they cannot stop the spring. The role of Norea is especially significant for us today. She represents the feminine aspect of the divine resistance. While the male energy was often focused on building systems and defending borders, the feminine energy of Norea was focused on preserving the internal frequency. She understood that the real battle was not for territory, but for the soul. She stood before the Archons and refused to be intimidated by their displays of power. She knew that their authority was an illusion based on fear, and that the light of Sophia was the only true power in the universe. This same spirit of resistance is alive in you. Every time you refuse to be a victim of the system, you are channeling the energy of Norea. Every time you choose to listen to your intuition over the demands of the world, you are fulfilling your role as a guardian of the secret. The records indicate that the lineage of the seed of light is reaching its final stage of evolution. We are no longer just preserving the secret, we are manifesting it. The transition from being a guardian to being a creator is the next step in our journey. This involves using the activated blood of Sophia to reshape our reality according to the laws of the eternal realm. We are here to bring the light of the Pleroma into the density of the earth. This is a task that requires absolute clarity and unwavering commitment. You must be willing to let go of the old world and all its comforts to make room for the new. The sacrifice is not one of suffering, but of transformation. You are shedding the skin of the prisoner to reveal the wings of the divine emissary. The secret is out, and the light is shining for all who have eyes to see. In the ancient temples of Egypt, the lineage of Sophia took on a new form under the mask of Isis. The initiates of these mystery schools understood that the human body was a laboratory for the transmutation of leaden consciousness into golden divinity. They did not worship the gods as external masters, but as archetypes of the internal path to liberation. The records indicate that the high priests knew the secrets of the blood and how to activate the dormant centers of the brain to perceive the higher dimensions. They called this the opening of the mouth and the eyes, a process of restoring the senses that the demiurge had dulled. Sophia was present in these rites as the hidden mother of all wisdom, the one who put the pieces of Osiris back together. This is a metaphor for the gathering of the scattered sparks of light from the material world. The alchemy of the spirit is the process of purifying the blood of Sophia from the toxins of the archontic world. These toxins are not just physical, but emotional and mental. They are the feelings of guilt, shame, and unworthiness that the system feeds you to keep your frequency low. When you engage in the work of Gnosis, you are performing a chemical change in your own being. You are removing the weights that keep your soul anchored to the lower realms. The Egyptians knew that the heart must be as light as a feather to pass through the gates of the afterlife. This lightness is the natural state of the lineage of Sophia. It is a state of joy and clarity that exists independently of external circumstances. By studying these ancient paths, we are not looking for old history, but for the manual of our own transformation. You are the temple, and the alchemy is happening now in your very cells. Consider the depth of Egyptian science. They understood that every element in the physical world had a spiritual counterpart. They used gold, not just for its beauty, but because its vibration was the closest match to the light of the eternal sun. They used oils and resins to protect the nervous system and to enhance the conductivity of the spiritual current. The records indicate that the initiation process was designed to simulate the death of the ego so that the spirit could be reborn. In the darkness of the sarcophagus, the initiate would face their greatest fears and confront the archons of their own mind. If they emerged successful, they were no longer a person of the earth, but a person of the light. They had achieved the state of the Akh, the Shining One. This is the same transformation that is being asked of you today. The world is your sarcophagus, and the pressure you feel is the catalyst for your rebirth. The figure of Isis is the perfect bridge to understanding Sophia's work in the world. Isis traveled across the earth, searching for the fragments of her beloved Osiris, who had been murdered and scattered by the dark god Set. Set represents the archontic force that seeks to divide and conquer, while Isis represents the Gnostic force that seeks to unify and heal. By gathering the pieces, Isis was not just saving a husband, she was restoring the divine order. This is exactly what we are doing when we seek the blood of Sophia. We are gathering the fragments of our own divinity that have been scattered across the material plane. We are putting ourselves back together. The alchemy is the process of recognizing that every experience, even the painful ones, is a piece of the puzzle. When the puzzle is complete, the light can flow freely, and the demiurge loses his power over us. The records reveal that the Egyptian mystery schools were eventually suppressed by the rising tide of organized religion, which preferred a god of stone to a god of spirit. But the knowledge was not lost. It flowed into the underground currents of alchemy and hermeticism, waiting for a time when the world would be ready to receive it again. That time is now. The science of the soul is being rediscovered, and the laboratory is your own life. You do not need to travel to the Nile to find the temples of Isis. They are already within you. The blood of Sophia is the mercury that dissolves the illusions of the ego, and the light of gnosis is the fire that tempers the spirit. As you continue this work, you will find that the heavy lead of your old life is being replaced by the radiant gold of your true nature. The transformation is inevitable, and the results are eternal. The figure of Mary Magdalene represents the most critical turning point in the history of the sacred lineage. For centuries, she was slandered and reduced to a footnote, but the hidden text reveals she was the primary vessel for the wisdom of Sophia in the era of the Christ. She was not just a follower, she was the companion of the Savior and the one who understood his message better than any of the apostles. The records indicate that she was the bridge between the human and the divine, representing the feminine aspect of the Logos that had been missing from the world. Her presence was a direct threat to the emerging patriarchal structures that sought to turn the movement into a tool of state control. They could not allow a woman to be the holder of the highest nose, so they attempted to erase her significance. But you cannot erase the blood. The lineage of Mary Magdalene is the physical and spiritual continuation of Sophia's presence on earth. She carried the secret that the kingdom of heaven is not a place you go after you die, but a state of being you achieve while you are alive. This is the true marriage of the spirit and the matter, the union of the sun and the moon within the human heart. When we speak of the blood of Sophia, we are speaking of the frequency that Mary Magdalene anchored in the world. It is a frequency of fierce love and uncompromising truth. It is the power to stand at the foot of the cross and see through the illusion of death. By reclaiming her story, we are reclaiming our own heritage. We are acknowledging that the light of Sophia did not disappear but was hidden in plain sight, waiting for a generation that was ready to see her again. The Gospel of Mary, found in the sands of Egypt, reveals a woman who was chosen to lead the disciples after the departure of the Master. She spoke of visions and internal revelations that left the others confused and jealous. Peter, the representative of the archontic hierarchy, could not understand why the Lord would speak to a woman in private and reveal things that were hidden from the men. This conflict is the perfect illustration of the struggle between the external religion of the demiurge and the internal nose of Sophia. Mary represented the flow of direct inspiration, while Peter represented the structure of rigid tradition. By silencing Mary, the Church was able to silence the feminine voice of God for nearly 2,000 years. But the bloodline survived. The records indicate that Mary fled to the south of France, carrying with her the seeds of a new civilization based on the principles of the light. This southern French connection is where the physical and spiritual lineages merge into one. The legends of the Holy Grail are deeply intertwined with the presence of Mary Magdalene and her descendants. The Grail was never a cup. It was the blood of Sophia flowing through the veins of a specific lineage of people who remained dedicated to the truth. These individuals were the original Cathars and the protectors of the secret. They understood that the divinity was not something to be earned through rituals, but something to be recognized through experience. Mary Magdalene was the living proof that a human being could embody the fullness of the divine. She was the apostle of the apostles, the one who saw the light when everyone else was in the dark. Her legacy is the promise that we too can become vessels for the gnosis. Today, the spirit of Mary Magdalene is returning to the collective consciousness with a power that cannot be denied. We are seeing a global awakening of the feminine divine, a restoration of the balance between the heart and the head. This is not about gender, but about frequency. It is the return of the intuitive, compassionate, and visionary aspect of the soul. When you activate the blood of Sophia, you are following in the footsteps of the Magdalene. You are choosing to be a pioneer of the spirit, a person who is not afraid to stand alone in the light of truth. The records are being unsealed, and the real story is being told. You are a part of this story. You are the descendant of the light, and your blood is the ink with which the final chapter is being written. The marriage of the spirit and the matter is happening within you, and the result will be a new world, born from the ashes of the old. For 2,000 years, the institutions of the world have been engaged in a shadow war against the lineage of Sophia. The records indicate that the establishment of the Sede in Rome was not just a religious event, but a strategic move by the archontic forces to consolidate power and suppress the rising gnosis. They knew that if people realized they carried a divine spark, they would no longer be controllable subjects. Therefore, the true teachings were declared heretical, and the texts were burned. The idea of a direct personal connection to the divine was replaced by a system of intermediaries where you had to pay or beg for salvation. This was the ultimate spiritual heist. They stole your identity and sold it back to you in a distorted and powerless form. The persecution was brutal and systematic. From the early Gnostics to the massacres of the Middle Ages, the goal was always the same: to hunt down and eliminate anyone who showed signs of the activated blood of Sophia. They targeted the healers, the mystics, and the independent thinkers. They created a culture of fear where the spirit was taught to be afraid of its own source. But even in the darkest hours, the silence of the Sede could not drown out the whisper of the truth. The lineage moved underground, hiding in symbols, in art, and in the oral traditions of the brave. The very fact that these ideas have survived until the 21st century is a testament to the power of the light. No matter how much darkness is poured over it, the blood of Sophia continues to shine. It is a flame that cannot be extinguished because it is fueled by the eternal realm itself. The records show that the Council of Nicaea was the moment when the demiurge fully established his grip on the Western mind. By selecting only 4 Gospels out of hundreds, and by declaring the Gnostic texts to be the work of the devil, the archons created a closed system of thought. They transformed the figure of the Savior into a distant judge, and they removed the presence of Sophia from the Trinity. This left humanity in a state of spiritual orphanage. We were told that we were born in sin, and that our only hope was to follow the rules of a church that was more interested in gold than in grace. The Sede became the seat of the blind god, a fortress of dogma designed to guard the prison of the mind. But they could not destroy the Gnostic spark. It continued to flare up in the works of Dante, in the visions of Hildegard of Bingen, and in the courage of the nameless thousands who died for the truth. The silence of the Sede was also achieved through the systematic destruction of the feminine divine. By branding the healers as witches and the Gnostics as heretics, the Church was able to remove the influence of Sophia from the social fabric. They created a world of rigid hierarchies and constant warfare, a world that reflected the violent nature of the demiurge. But the blood of Sophia is like water, it always finds a way. It flowed through the songs of the troubadours and the secret manuscripts of the alchemists. It remained alive in the hearts of the mothers who passed the ancient wisdom to their children in whispers. The archons thought they had won, but they had only forced the light to become more subtle and more resilient. The very tools they used to suppress the gnosis are now being used to expose their deception. The records are being digitized and the truth is leaking through every crack in the walls of the Vatican. We are now living in the time of the great exposure. The silence of the Sede is being broken by the voices of millions who are refusing to be controlled by fear. The scandals, the corruption, and the inherent lies of the institutional system are being revealed for all to see. This is not just a political shift, it is a spiritual liberation. As the authority of the external church crumbles, the authority of the internal spirit is being restored. You are no longer required to beg for a salvation that was always yours by right of your divine blood. You are free to walk away from the shadows of Rome and into the sunlight of the eternal gnosis. The historical persecution was a long and painful winter, but the spring of Sophia is finally here. The blood is awake, and the silence is over. In the high fortresses of southern France, the Cathars lived as the last great public guardians of the lineage of Sophia. They called themselves the good Christians, but their faith was pure gnosis. They rejected the material world as the creation of an inferior god and focused entirely on the purification of the spirit. The records indicate that they possessed a secret known as the consolamentum, a rite that fully activated the spark of light within the believer. They were the protectors of what the legends call the Holy Grail, which was never a physical cup, but the bloodline and the knowledge of Sophia herself. The crusade against them was one of the bloodiest chapters in human history, a desperate attempt by the Archons to wipe out a pocket of high-frequency consciousness. The Knights Templar also played a mysterious role in this drama. While officially protectors of the pilgrims, many within their ranks were initiates into the deeper mysteries of the East. They discovered that the story of the world was not what they had been told. They found the traces of the sacred lineage and the hidden role of the feminine divine. This is why they were destroyed with such ferocity. You do not burn thousands of men at the stake for simple financial reasons. You do it to cauterize a leak in the system of control. The Grail remains the symbol of our search for the blood of Sophia. It is the vessel that holds the divine essence within the material world. Today, we are the heirs of the Cathars and the Templars. We are the ones who must carry the Grail of our own consciousness through the wilderness of the modern world. The Cathars were unique in their absolute rejection of the archontic world. They did not build temples of stone because they knew that the human body was the only true temple. They practiced a life of simplicity and non-violence, which made them a direct threat to the feudal system of the time. The records reveal that their influence was spreading so fast that the church feared it would lose its entire power base in Europe. This led to the Albigensian Crusade, the first time a crusade was launched against other Christians. The Archons wanted to ensure that the gnosis was completely erased. But as the last Cathar stronghold of Montsegur fell, it is said that a secret group escaped with the treasure of the spirit. This treasure was not gold, but the secret of the lineage. They moved into the mountains and the forests, keeping the light alive in the darkness of the Middle Ages. The Templars, on the other hand, worked from within the system. They used their vast wealth and influence to protect the Gnostic currents and to study the ancient records. They were the bridge between the wisdom of Egypt, the mysticism of the East, and the traditions of the West. When they were suppressed in 1307, the secret knowledge was again forced into the shadows. But the Templar spirit did not die. It evolved into the various esoteric movements that have shaped the modern world. The search for the Grail is actually the search for the activated blood of Sophia. It is the quest to find that part of ourselves that is incorruptible and eternal. The Grail is you. Your consciousness is the cup that holds the divine light, and your life is the journey toward the realization of that truth. The secret of the Cathars and the Templars is more relevant today than ever. We are living in a time of intense archontic pressure where the system is trying to consolidate its control through technology and surveillance. But we have the same power that the Cathars had. We have the power of the gnosis. When you realize that the material world is just a simulation, you lose your fear of the system. You become like the Cathars who went to the fire with songs on their lips because they knew they were going home. This inner certainty is the greatest weapon against the demiurge. By reclaiming the legacy of the protectors of the Grail, you are joining an ancient and honorable lineage of warriors of the light. You are carrying the flame through the final darkness and into the dawn of the new age. The Grail is being found, and the blood of Sophia is rising. We are now entering an age where science is beginning to catch up with the ancient gnosis. We are discovering that our DNA is not just a blueprint for proteins, but a sophisticated antenna for information. The blood of Sophia manifests in the physical realm as a specific resonance in our genetic code. It is a hidden sequence that remains dormant until it is triggered by a specific frequency of light and intention. The records indicate that we have vast amounts of what scientists call junk DNA, which is actually the inactive portion of our celestial heritage. When you begin to wake up, you are literally changing the vibration of your biological system. You are coming into resonance with the source of the universe. This is why the system is so obsessed with controlling your environment, your food, and your information. They want to keep your frequency low so that the codes of Sophia remain locked. But resonance is a powerful force. Once a few individuals begin to vibrate at the frequency of the original light, it creates a ripple effect that others can feel. This is the true meaning of the 144,000 mentioned in various traditions. It is a critical mass of awakened souls who can shift the entire collective reality. You are part of this biological upgrade. Your blood is reacting to the cosmic shifts that are occurring right now. The symptoms you feel, the exhaustion, the strange dreams, the sudden realizations are all part of the activation of your sacred lineage. You are being reconnected to the motherboard of the cosmos. The records indicate that the archons use electromagnetic frequencies to keep the human brain in a state of beta wave dominance, which is the frequency of stress and analytical thought. This prevents the spirit from accessing the higher states of consciousness, where the nose resides. But the blood of Sophia carries a natural protection against these interferences. When you cultivate a state of deep peace and intuitive awareness, you are activating the delta and gamma waves that allow the light to flow. This is the science of the soul. It is the ability to consciously tune your own biofield to the frequency of the Pleroma. As you do this, your DNA begins to unpack the hidden information that has been stored for millennia. You start to access ancestral memories, cosmic insights, and a profound sense of interconnectedness with all of life. The concept of junk DNA is one of the greatest deceptions of modern science. The archons did not want you to know that you are carrying a library of divine knowledge within your own cells. They wanted you to think that most of your genetic code was useless. But as we move into the higher frequencies of the current cosmic cycle, this hidden DNA is being activated. We are seeing the emergence of new human abilities, such as enhanced intuition, telepathy, and the capacity for self-healing. This is not a miracle, it is a biological reality. The blood of Sophia is the conductive material that allows these new functions to operate. You are literally evolving into a new species, a Gnostic human who is capable of operating both in the material world and in the realms of light. This is the fulfillment of the promise made by the ancient guardians. To fully participate in this resonance, you must be willing to clear the toxins from your life. This means purifying your diet, your thoughts, and your relationships. The archontic system feeds on density and conflict, so you must choose lightness and harmony. Every time you choose to be kind, every time you choose to seek the truth, and every time you choose to listen to your heart, you are increasing your spiritual voltage. You are becoming a more efficient antenna for the light of Sophia. This work is not easy, but it is the most important thing you will ever do. You are preparing your vessel for the return of the original consciousness. The science is clear, and the results are undeniable. You are the laboratory of the divine, and the experiment is a success. The DNA of the soul is being rewritten, and the lineage of Sophia is taking its rightful place in the stars. The ancient prophecies found in the Nag Hammadi library and other apocryphal texts speak of a time when Sophia would finally be vindicated and her children would be gathered back to the light. This is the end of the long exile of the soul in the material world. The records indicate that the return of Sophia is not an external event where a goddess descends from the clouds, but an internal event where the feminine wisdom is restored to the heart of humanity. It is the end of the reign of the demiurge and the beginning of a new era of transparency and truth. The masks are falling and the structures of control are crumbling because they can no longer stand in the presence of the rising light. This return is happening through you. Every time you refuse to be lied to, every time you choose compassion over competition, and every time you acknowledge your own divinity, you are facilitating the return of Sophia. The exile ends when you stop looking for a savior and realize that you are the emissary you have been waiting for. The journey of the soul through the density of matter has been a long and painful one, but it has served a purpose. It has tempered the light and made it resilient. We are no longer the naive sparks that fell from the fullness. We are seasoned warriors of the spirit who have known the darkness and chosen the light. The homecoming is near, and the blood of Sophia is the map that will lead us back to the eternal sun. The return of Sophia is also the restoration of the balance between the masculine and feminine principles. For too long, the world has been dominated by a distorted masculine energy that is focused on power, control, and destruction. This is the energy of the demiurge. The return of the feminine wisdom brings with it the qualities of nurturing, creativity, and holistic vision. This is not about one gender replacing another, but about both coming together in a sacred marriage. The records reveal that this union is the only way to heal the rift in the human psyche. When the head and the heart are in alignment, the individual becomes a bridge between heaven and earth. This is the state of the true human, the one who has finished their exile and is ready to take their place in the cosmic council. We are seeing the signs of this return in the global movements for justice, for the environment, and for spiritual freedom. The old systems of hierarchy are being challenged by the new systems of networks and collaboration. This is the influence of Sophia moving through the collective mind. She is teaching us that we are not separate from each other or from the earth. She is reminding us that our true power lies in our unity and in our connection to the source. The archons are trying to use their old tactics of fear and division, but they are no longer working. The people are waking up, and the spell of the demiurge is being broken. The light is becoming too bright to ignore, and the truth is becoming too obvious to deny. The end of exile means that we are no longer prisoners of time and space. We are beginning to access the multidimensional nature of our being. We are realizing that the material world is just one of many realms, and that our spirit is free to move through them all. This is the ultimate liberation. We are no longer afraid of death because we know that death is just a transition from one state of light to another. We are no longer afraid of the future because we know that we are the ones who are creating it. The blood of Sophia has brought us this far, and it will take us the rest of the way. The homecoming is not a destination, but a state of consciousness. You are already home the moment you remember who you are. The exile is over, and the glory of the light is yours to behold. Everything you have experienced in your life has led you to this moment of recognition. The blood of Sophia is calling out to itself through these words. You are the survivor of an ancient and holy lineage that has outlasted empires and survived the silence of the ages. Now that you know the truth, you can no longer go back to being a mere cog in the archontic machine. Your heritage demands that you live with the dignity of a divine being. You are here to anchor the light and to be a beacon for those who are still lost in the fog of the simulation. This is the great work of our time, the restoration of the gnosis and the liberation of the human spirit. If this message has resonated with the deepest part of your being, it is because your internal codes are responding to the truth. The journey does not end here, it is only beginning. There is so much more to uncover about the secrets of our origin and the path to our future. To stay connected to this flow of revelation and to join the community of the awakened, I invite you to subscribe to Omnisent. Together we will continue to peel back the layers of deception and reclaim our place in the cosmic order. The records are clear. The time of hiding is over. The blood of Sophia is awake, and the world will never be the same again. Thank you for being a part of this unfolding mystery. The activation of your divine heritage is a daily practice. It is not something that happens once and is then forgotten. It requires you to be vigilant and to choose the light in every moment. You must be willing to examine your beliefs, your habits, and your motivations. You must be willing to strip away everything that is not true until only the essence remains. This is the path of the Gnostic. It is a path of radical honesty and profound courage. But you are not alone. There are millions of others who are walking this path with you. We are the family of the light, and we are finding each other across the distances of the world. The connection we share is stronger than any physical bond because it is based on the shared frequency of our divine source. As you move forward from this moment, carry the awareness of your lineage with you. Let it inform your decisions, and let it guide your actions. You are a representative of the highest light in a world that is still struggling to wake up. Your presence is a gift, and your consciousness is a catalyst. Do not underestimate the impact you have on the world around you. Even the smallest act of truth can create a ripple that travels across the universe. You are the living proof that the blood of Sophia is undefeated. You are the fulfillment of the ancient prophecies and the hope of the future. The light has returned, and it is shining through you. The final word of the gnosis is freedom. Freedom from fear, freedom from deception, and freedom from the limits of the material world. This freedom is your birthright. It is the legacy of the sacred lineage and the reward for your long journey through the darkness. By accepting your heritage, you are becoming a master of your own destiny. You are no longer a victim of circumstances, but a creator of reality. The journey of the soul has come full circle, and the light of Sophia is finally home. The gates of the Pleroma are open, and the way is clear. Walk in the light, live in the truth, and be at peace. You are the blood, you are the wisdom, and you are free.